Welcome to the Restless Mule channel. This is the fourth video of my series covering my trip to Arkansas. Each video covers a specific route I rode, and this video covers the Arkansas Dragon. After riding a portion of the Twisted Lady route, I turned on Highway 292 and rode east to Hagarville, where I picked up Highway 123 to ride north to Western Grove. To be honest, I chose to ride this highway only after reading about it on greatmotorcycleroads.com, and yeah, I really didn't know much about it other than a lot of comments said it was a great ride. It was only a few days after returning home that I realized this stretch of road is known as the Arkansas Dragon or the Arkansas Dragon Tail. Both monikers are quite fitting. Most of the list of Arkansas motorcycle routes I saw ranked the Pig Trail, the Arkansas Grand Canyon, and the Twisted Lady route all above this one. To be fair, I left out some key parts of the Twisted Lady route, so I can't accurately compare that route to the Arkansas Dragon. Nonetheless, of the four routes I rode during my trip to the Ozarks, the Arkansas Dragon was my absolute favorite.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
If riding down Highway 43 and Highway 21 seemed like an especially remote area, stretches of Highway 123 seemed downright forgotten, and I mean that in the best possible way. However, I confess that of all the highways I rode in the Ozarks, this one had the worst pavement of any of them. Most of the highway was fine, but there were stretches with potholes, gravel, and cracks. But it's not anything impossible to navigate. I mean, obviously, it was manageable. I'm still here, and I didn't have any incidents. It's just something to keep in mind if you plan to ride this route. With that said, I've ridden on much worse surfaces in Texas. The southern half of this route was filled with seemingly never-ending S-curves. Well, I guess if they're never-ending, they're not S's. I don't know. Maybe I should just say it seemed like never-ending curves.
Yeah.
None of the curves through this stretch were technical. Instead, they were mostly nice sweeping curves that were predictable, and the majority were marked with signs providing a suggested speed for the curve. Occasionally, there was a break in the trees where one could catch a glimpse of a meadow or a pasture. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure the difference between a meadow and a pasture, or if there even is a difference. Let's just go with meadow because, that sounds more poetic. Besides, mentioning a meadow invokes imagery of the sound of music, which is exactly what most people think about when they watch my motovlogs. They hear my serenades and, well, they're often moved to tears by the sound of a voice that's frequently compared to that of a eunuch being tortured by fire.
Stop! I can't stop!
Anyway, meadows and hills aren't all you'll see on this route. There are also places where rock faces come to within feet of the road. A select few understand my childish fascination with rocks. Others fake like they do, and many just say,
What a weirdo!
Regardless, the rumors of my obsession with rocks have been greatly exaggerated, if not entirely fabricated, by my midlife moto. I merely make reference to this perception in this video, for my own amusement, and the amusement of anyone else that may appreciate the entirely mind-numbingly random stupidity. When I saw a sign saying one-lane bridge, half mile, I thought perhaps I misread the sign, or maybe it was actually a two-lane bridge currently restricted to single-lane use due to construction. Nope! It was absolutely a single-lane bridge. When I arrived at the bridge, I had to yield to an oncoming tanker truck. As I sat waiting for the truck to pass, all I could think was, I'll be damned, it's actually a single-lane bridge. As I crossed the bridge, I experienced some anxiety as I began to contemplate the potential hazards of crossing a single-lane bridge, and was forced to consider the possibility the Bandit could be barreling towards me, running point man for the snowman on a crucial southbound beer run.
I'll read you loud and clear, 10-4.
I know what you're thinking.
But that's stupid.
The Bandit only runs westbound and eastbound. Say what you want, but there's nothing the Bandit can't do. Once past the single-lane bridge, it didn't take long to realize there just isn't enough traffic on this highway to justify constructing a new bridge. At times, the road seemed so desolate I found myself wondering if I might come across a large group of zombies slowly making their way down the highway. Perhaps like something from the show Walking Dead? Again, I know what you're thinking as I mention the possibilities of seeing zombies. You're thinking, that wasn't in Arkansas, you idiot. Well, thankfully, I didn't see any zombies. But between Pelser and Mount Judy, I saw only slightly more houses than I did zombies. Much of this stretch of the highway is flanked by national forests on either side. I saw a few campers, which is the closest thing I saw to a zombie.
I'm kidding.
I say that as a person that's done more than my fair share of camping. At Pelser, I turned left onto Highway 7, which I rode for approximately 2 miles before Highway 123 again split off on its own. I saw a sign forbidding large trucks and thought that was interesting, but I didn't really contemplate why they would be prohibited from using this road. I would figure that out later. When not pondering the potential for zombie attacks or considering the likelihood of being run over by the Bandit, I keyed in on the grass growing through the cracks of the asphalt. I found myself wondering how quickly nature would retake this route if it was not regularly maintained. We often travel through rural areas without considering what it takes to keep them accessible. In many parts of the United States, we're never truly far from civilization, but there are still plenty of areas with few people and a sense of seclusion if people are willing to seek them out. I usually find the seclusion somewhat therapeutic, but there are some that don't see it that way.
Here's Johnny.
From the turnoff from Highway 7 north to Mount Judy is truly the best part of this route. The road curves back and forth as though the team of original surveyors planned the route while on a serious bender in the heat of late summer. It is this particular winding stretch of Highway 123 which is known as the Arkansas Dragon. The twists, turns, and switchbacks in this 15-mile stretch of road are exactly why large trucks are prohibited on this portion of the highway.
Rocks over rocks.
One moment I felt a million miles away from civilization, and the next moment I was waving to a guy cutting his grass as I entered Mount Judy. The change was so abrupt that I actually found the situation comical. As I got into Mount Judy, I was in dire need of a break, primarily because, well, let's just say I was overhydrated at that point. I didn't really want to do the whole awkward thing where I walk into a random store and try to look relaxed and casual as I frantically look for a bathroom and, then browse around the store afterwards to find something to buy so it's not quite so obvious that the only real reason I stopped in was to use the bathroom. Yeah, that's the long-winded explanation of why I kept riding past Mount Judy, and I found a spot on the roadside to stop just a few miles north of town. I took the time to, shall we say, unhydrate in the brush.
Very cosmopolitan.
And then I hydrated some more while stretching my legs for a bit. The Arkansas Dragon Route technically ends at Mount Judy, but I continued on Highway 123 until it ended at the intersection of Highway 65 and Western Grove. There were no switchbacks north of Mount Judy, but the road was still enjoyable to ride, despite a slight increase in traffic. In fairness, anything is an increase if you're starting with nothing. The fact that my favorite route was the last ride of the trip was entirely coincidence, as you kind of figured out from earlier, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did. All of the rides were enjoyable, but the combination of seclusion, lack of traffic, and some technical aspects to this ride made this my favorite. If you know anything about GoPro cameras, you know they have a tendency to flatten hills in footage. Unfortunately, that's just a downside of an action camera. But I bring that up in the hopes that you will understand the road is even better than it appears on video. Or at least better than it appears in my video. While I enjoyed the Pig Trail and the Arkansas Grand Canyon routes, the Arkansas Dragon Route is one that I would do again if given the opportunity. As previously mentioned, the pavement wasn't great, but I've definitely experienced worse, and I don't really feel like it takes away from the ride. A few patches of gravel here and there, one of which was nerve-wracking, if I'm being honest. That was really the only complaint I have. But hey, you can't expect perfect conditions. This is a real road we're talking about in real life. Then again, maybe this could be the perfect route if only I rode it in the fall.